Afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to our Maniototo Community Board meeting for May. Apologies. Duncan Hill. Someone recommend that be received? Second. Yep, second. I have to apologise to you guys. You'll have to hang off a minute because the Mayor's got to meet the Deputy Prime Minister and she's running that. So we'll have to put her on first. So once she's spoken, busy person, the Mayor these days. Welcome, Taylor.
Good afternoon and thank you very much, and apology to those members of the public who are there ready to speak to the community board, and I am just going to sneak in front. Thank you very much. My Mayor's report for today, there are two big things that I wanted to cover off, and I'm sure Councillor Duncan will give you more information in the coming time when it gets to his report. The first one is the clinical services plan that the Minister of Health announced yesterday, which includes additional funding for the people of Central Otago, which does include the Maniototo and the Teviot Valley and all of those other great places. Basically, it does come with some additional money to be delivering extra health services for our combined regions over the next couple of years. And very pleasing to note that option 3, which doesn't currently have a timeline, does say the words hospital, which is the first time the government has talked about that H word when it comes to our district. So really great, not an end to the advocacy and the pushing, but hopefully means that the people of Maniototo, Central Otago, Cromwell, the whole way through to Queenstown Lakes aren't continually driving 6-hour round trips for a 15-minute medical appointment. So with any luck, that will also result in some improved services for Dunstan Hospital, and there is nothing to stop Maniototo Hospital from putting their hat in the ring for some of that money as well to expand services that are available locally. Some of the $50 million of capital works program that has been set aside for the coming 2 years also relates to data and digital capacity, which might be applicable for the Maniototo to enable better telehealth services, which is certainly the direction that some of it is moving in. So all round good news for health. The second piece of information that came out earlier this week was around the local government reform. This is following on from the announcement made by Minister Bishop prior to Christmas, where they said they were going to scrap regional councils. They went out for submissions. They were supposed to tell us what the results of that submission process was in March. They have pushed that to May, and this week they announced that councils have 3 months to put forward a new proposal, otherwise it will be done to them. It was quite fire and brimstone in the press release. That's not the tone of the letter that I received from both ministers that came at the start of the week, and we've also been speaking to the Department of Internal Affairs. So it's something that our council will need to start thinking about, whether we want to put forward a proposal in the next 3 months around potential amalgamations or potential unitary councils or potential something else. I've sort of said to the councillors at the moment, nothing is off the table and every idea could be considered, or we could also tell the government, no thanks, we're not going to do anything in 3 months, we're going to wait till 2028, which is also an option. It might or might not be an advisable option. There's not really enough detail on it yet to determine what our course of action could, should or will be, but that's definitely moved a lot further up the priority chain for council in the next couple of weeks. One thing that the government have made really clear is come the 2028 elections, you will not be voting for regional councillors to represent a regional council. There will be another form of governance or delivery for those functions for our communities from the election time for the next cycle, recognising that there is also a central government election in between now and then, and I guess all bets are off and who knows what will come out of the other parties. And then we also had at the Zone 5 and 6 conference last week an update on the ratepayer assistance scheme, which has some really good potential benefits for our people. So that's currently working its way through Treasury, I think. It's quite far up the priority chain now for central government local government's been working on it for many years. It has 3 aspects to the ratepayer assistance scheme, predominantly surrounding the local government funding authority, which is things like, probably for your people in the Maniototo, the ability to get a loan if you don't have a mortgage. So that might be applicable to pensioners, say, who have already paid off their home, but would love to be able to borrow 40 grand against the equity of their home to put solar panels or double glazing or something like that. And there's also a rates postponement mechanism as part of that proposal that would mean people could postpone their rates and the rates would be paid back when the property is sold, or if they move into a retirement home or pass away. But the council doesn't carry that debt, the LGFA do, and it's on a better rate than you would be able to get from your bank. So all in all, quite a lot happening. I am happy to take any questions if anyone from the community board has questions on this at the moment. Otherwise, I'm sure Stu will be able to give some more details in his members report. But yeah, happy to take questions. That's my report, and if anybody would like to discuss it further, you're welcome to call or email me at any time too.
Thanks, Taylor. Any questions?
So, didn't we? Need a pay rise.
Everybody needs a pay rise.
All
If it goes wrong, you need to find a job.
Yeah, well, Tracy Patterson told me if I get my dogs trained up, they are looking for a senior shepherd. So maybe I'll just need to do a bit of practicing between now and the next election, just in case.
You'll look into that, Joe. Oh, no, thanks, Taylor. Good luck with the Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I know what I suspect he's here to announce something, but I don't actually know what it is. So we'll find out and I'll flick around an email.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
I will recommend that the mayor's report be declared. Stu's seen it. Right. Public forum. Sorry about the wait, guys. Jane, you want to go first?
Janine, yep.
Aye.
Janine, yes.
Janine.
Not Jane.
Oh, I've just got Jane Fletcher here, actually.
Telling people my real name.
Yeah, people. Welcome.
Thank you.
Joyce.
So we are here to provide a brief update on where we are with the Welcome to Ranfurly signage project. It's been pretty quiet of late. We're busy. We're very busy people, and we're working, volunteers who all have other commitments. However, recently we've regained a bit of traction. Sorry, notes. So back in 2024, we undertook 2 rounds of community consultation, looking at getting some input from residents, community groups and school students about what Ranfurly is to them and how we can represent that on the signage. We were really surprised at the theme that came through, that rail is central to Ranfurly's history and going forward. And so the current design that we've got reflects that feedback. And so we're looking at 2 vertical signs, one at the south entrance as you're coming in from Alexandra, and one on the north entrance coming in from Palmerston. So locations pending approval. So the design references the railway tracks with Ranfurly cut and steel lettering, and we're still working through materials because there's a lot to consider. And not only durability and fit with the landscape, but things like wind loading and stuff. All the stuff that we don't know that we don't know. We're looking at quite a high sign, sort of 4.5 to 5 meters tall. And we want it to be, a really clear sense of you've arrived in Ranfurly. Nothing that's overly complex, sort of reflecting the people that are here. Oh no, that makes it sound like we're not complex. Authentic and resilient and enduring. refer to the signs for the. Beneath that.
Good.
Your
Thank
turn.
you. So, I'm Janine. Yeah, as Christina said, progress has been a little bit slower than we would have liked. Just life has got in the way. However, this project is very much alive. And we've just recently got Fulton Hogan on board to just help us with some of the, really basic things like getting some drawings generated that are, done in CAD and actually to scale. They've also sort of offered support in other areas that could be helpful with the engineering side of it. We're really keen to make this a real credit to this area rather than a bit of an apology for a sign. So that's why our plans are fairly audacious and optimistic. But yeah, getting back to Fulton Hogan, they're also going to give us a bit of guidance around what NZTA require and any constraints. And I had a really good meeting with Quinton this morning, just with a bit of a facilitating the sort of consents and infrastructure side of things as well. So we're well underway. It's definitely alive, and we're sort of ready to pick it in the right direction again. So as I said, we're just really looking forward to finalising our drawings, which will enable us to have those really key discussions and also apply for grants money as well. So, and we really just wanted to be here today to update you that it is very much alive as a project and also answer any questions that you might have. Yeah, just keeping it simple and strong for Ranfurly.
Oh, very good. Quite good, actually, I think, anyway. But different than anyone else too, that's the. Okay, good. Any questions?
We've got a timeline of when we would like to come up.
Like 6 months ago.
I think that timeline will spin out of like getting more detailed drawings that then we can pass on to engineers and NZTA and start thinking about resource consent type stuff as well. I think that construction aspect is probably the easiest thing to handle in this area. It's actually the planning part, and that's where it's been really good to get Fulton Hogan on board to help us with that, because that's where we were struggling. But
Yeah.
mm,
So what is holding that?
holding it up, well, us, not having much time to actually do much about it.
Like
But also-
nothing that we can help with, just getting it organised, sort of.
We've got a lot of good people in our corner now, and so I think that will really help. It's just really simple getting good drawings. That was a bit of a roadblock for us, but we've got that sorted now. So, yeah, and we should have some good plans available, I'd say, in the next couple of weeks.
Where's the one going north? Is it, where are you talking about?
Okay.
Palmerston. It's around just before
Presbyterian Church.
the-
Oh, dear.
Just before the church.
Yeah.
The locations are a little bit, and the designs are a little bit flexible. Like, we don't know what we don't know at this point. For example, on the Stewart Road sign, there is a dirty great water main on that road. So we're just,
Yeah. It looks a cool sign. Would you have it lit as well from the bottom up or something?
well, that's part of that consent type
Yeah, I see.
process, what we can do at night. But I mean, that would be great.
Yeah, looks
Yeah.
cool.
Very good. Any more questions? Thanks very much for that.
Thank you.
Good luck with that. Thanks. Rest of it. Planning on it. It's been Christina Willis from Maniototo here for doing multitasking. How's everyone going? Welcome. Ian.
Hello, it's me again with a different hat. So Karen and I are from the Maniototo Heritage Orchard Group. We've applied for a grant for a little bit of money to cover some of our fundamentals for this year. So we've built our group on the success of the RAN 3125 Heritage Orchard. And this year we're working on grafting close to 300 apple, pear, quince and cherry trees. And due to demand, we're also looking at apricots and plums as well. So our funding is asking for money to cover some of our rootstock, potting mix and planter bags, which will then allow us to propagate fruit trees from grafts and historic trees in the district, to which they keep coming out of the woodwork. It is crazy, but good crazy. Keeps us on our toes. So our project is community and volunteer driven, and a little grant like this would help us to propagate at scale. We're looking at some pretty big projects this year, as well as grafting of 300 trees. We've got a community orchard in Naseby that's happening as well, which we're really excited about. Also, with the nature of grafting, once you graft a tree, you've got about 15 to 24 months before you see the return on that tree. So it's really sort of long-term planning. We've got so much happening that a little handout would be great. We're very excited about other things that we've got going on this year. Sorry, Karen, I'm jumping all over the place. Our community buy-in is great. You know, we've got trees coming out our ears at the moment. We're pretty excited that we've discovered an extremely rare pear tree. There's only one other one that's known in New Zealand. And it's an ancestor of our modern domestic pear. It's delightful and we're so excited about it. As well as the community orchard. And we're also going to preserve the come and time apple from over in Bendigo, which is a little bit out of our district, but once that tree is lost, it's gone forever. And it's a really unique apple in both apple shape, size, and the tree form as well. We're also looking at running some community workshops to share our skills and knowledge. And long term, we'd like to run these at no cost. So kind of setting us up there, you know, that has a really long term impact. We're looking, well, currently we're self-sustaining, but being able to graft on scale makes us way more self-sustaining long term. And it allows us to create something living and shared and focus on the practical stuff rather than the how do we fund this stuff. So allowing us to look back to grow forward. Karen, anything to add? No. Any questions?
Did you know about the old orchard out at Tiro? Tiro, it's a farm out at Tiro. I managed it many years ago, but there was an old orchard established here when they first bought them. Hey?
There's so many old orchards.
Oh, there you go. But, it had a different type of apricot or something that were late mature, and it's owned by the Clue family, but Jeff Hall would be the man, he's leasing it. And there was a guy, I can't think of his name, years ago, got apples and that off the old trees that used to grow along the railway lines from cores out the window. And the reason he grafted them out there because they had no codling moth in them.
There's a lot of surprisingly resistant codling moth ones around.
So it's way up under the hill, and it's in a sort of a, what do they call it? Microclimate zone where it does get a frost, but you don't get a burning frost. So that's why they survive there. But, yeah, Jeff Hall, give him a ring. Don't tell him I told you, otherwise he'd give him
Have you done any work with talking to the Tiaki guys about sharing assets? Or is it not
yet, because we're still in our fairly little growth phase and we're a small group. We've just sort of expanded in terms of our membership fairly recently, but until sort of a couple of months ago, it was sort of 5 or so of us driving the project, and there's a surprising amount of work that goes into the organising and the administration, let alone actually doing the grafting, which takes days.
It'd be sort of cool if there was a wild fruit tree or that heritage stuff as a part of what they're doing, because a lot of the places, exactly what Harry's talking about, our place is the same, some original apricot trees.
Oh, we know.
Pretty original people out there too, to be fair. But it'd be cool if we could merge together in some form where the Tiaki ones also.
Heritage Otago has signalled that like to work with us, and next year we've got an exciting project which I can't say too much about, but we're working with Heritage New Zealand. So it's cool that it's getting out about us. So
where do you do all the work? Like where?
In our backyards, man.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah,
But you're putting up a thing in those, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a community orchard on the go there, so that's.
And it's quite large.
It's
It's large
100 square meters-ish. So yeah,
There's plant all there and.
there'll be 20 trees there.
Yeah.
How do you get on with frost and fruiting trees and Maisie?
We've got fruiting trees, that's why we're taking the heritage ones that are, you know, they've lasted up
Just so-
50 years.
we're in those,
You got a few history ties to those.
Around the bend, come into Naysville, turn around, go to the.
Yeah.
Just there.
Oh, yeah, nice.
We'd have been used to supply the coal and the milk for Nazy in the gold rush. Know that?
Not
There you
local
go.
procedures.
So where do you sell your?
Yeah.
Yeah, I go, okay. Right.
No, this year we're looking at reworking how we do that, so that it's not just Christina who's driving absolutely everything.
Right.
That's exciting, it's cool.
That's
It
good.
is
That's
really
good. That's-
exciting.
Yeah, it's very.
You sold out this year, eh?
And like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I tried to get some pear trees and.
Yeah, right.
So it's cool.
We've got some good pear trees coming up this year.
Good idea.
So when they do the actual orchards like the Naysby one, they will be Naysby based heritage fruit trees. So they're
Yeah.
specific to that area.
Right. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
It's like a living tree library, effectively, that, you know, people can then come and take more grafts off in
Yeah.
years to come, as well as enjoy the fruit, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, I do.
Very good.
We're good at preserving buildings, so we're not.
Thanks very much for that.
So.
No more questions? Thanks for that. We'll let you know how you get on after the meeting.
Yeah.
Raylene, Polish and Maddie, is it? I know Raylene, I don't know. The other two.
Not either.
No,
Not
not really.
That's not very Taylor.
Taylor and Cody.
Welcome you guys.
So we're here on behalf of the Maniototo Toy Library. And we're just looking for some funding to buy some new toys, basically. Replace old ones, outdated ones.
Yeah. Since it's been spoken to me.
Yeah, Toy Library has been around. We found this old book, the original one, from 1993, I think. So yeah, it's been running since then, and we've currently got about 30 to 35 members. And we basically just work like a book library. People come and grab some toys for a couple of weeks, a month or so, and then bring them back and get new ones out. Yeah. There's a lot of original toys there. Lots of them are outdated and worn, and we just want to replace them. Yeah. We run mostly off membership fees and a little bit of fundraising. And a few donations from the community.
Was your record the other night toy library or was it?
That was netball, yeah.
Got some short netballs.
But it's not that much we learn.
Are you right?
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. No, 'cause our kids always used to go to toy library. That's a long time ago
Yeah,
now. That's a great thing, and it's actually nearly got lost there about 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
pretty lucky you're keeping it going. So well done.
Do you guys own the building?
No, so we're in the pipe band hall and I think someone Scott owns it. Don't know.
Yeah.
James Scott, maybe? Not sure. They keep like the bagpipes and stuff in the back room. So yeah, it's still used.
You have to pay a rent.
No. It's good. No. And it's on council ground.
Yeah.
But we don't pay anything for it either.
So
We can fix that.
Yeah.
it's $2,000 or $2,500 enough. Like you
Yeah.
can buy a lot of toys with it, I guess.
Yeah, lots to like quite good quality toys are hard to find, especially now because there's like Kmart and farm and stuff. But we don't want to get stuck in there. Like we're just
It
last.
just
Doesn't last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Really
But everyone's used it, that's right, anyway. We use the heaps.
Yeah.
But you also do it for out of town and so, and like if they
Yeah.
come into the area.
Yeah, and we've also got like prams and cots, bassinets, bathtubs, that like grandparents can hire if they've got people come to stay, or people visiting the area, they can come.
Because like, you know, like the little bikes and stuff too.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Right.
Thanks very much for that.
Yeah.
We'll let you know later on.
Yeah.
Sure they gotta go, get.
Jill Wolf.
Hi,
Welcome.
I'm here on behalf of the Naseby Development Charitable Trust, and more specifically, the Great Naseby Water Race. Looking for some assistance with that. It's I've already read the documentation, but, my partner Neil and I run it on behalf of the Charitable Trust. We took it over August 22 as a local community fundraiser. We haven't applied for any grants or anything like that for it before. We've just run it under the entry fees that come in, which has been fantastic. This year, we are looking at a bit of an increase in costs, obviously, with the way things are changing. And unfortunately, with the increased costs, we don't actually get, it's not relative to the number of entries that come in. So we're not expecting this year the number of entries of last year. Last year let's go back a step. We have several different distances that are running there. One of them is a 200-mile event, which is it's the longest distance in New Zealand. It's in a ultra marathon. And we had a big push from the ultra runners last year, and we ended up with 24 entries at that level, which was phenomenal for us because they pay $480 entry fee, which gives us a really good income stream for that. This year, we're not expecting anywhere near that, hence our, if we looked at the budget, our expectations this year are much lower. But the costs are pretty much the same because you've still got to get some toilets, you've still got to get some fuel for heating, still got the, all those sort of costs are still, there's not really anything other than the usual one concession fee, which is based on number of runners. That's about the only one that's actually relative to number. So our costs will be pretty much the same. The event is a major benefit for the local community, Naseby and Renfrew and the wider area. They talk to the Naseby hospitality people, and they talk about it being one of the biggest weekends that they have. It runs from the Wednesday through till the Sunday of prize giving. So it's pretty good from a hospitality point of view. So we have approximately 200 to 250 runners in the last couple of years entered. We were lower than that previously, but we're expecting somewhere along that, the 200 plus this year. For every runner that we get there, we probably have 2, 3, 4 support people running, and they'll stay anywhere from 1 to 5 nights in the area. So even the people that just arrived for the Saturday run, which is quite a long one, will often stay on the Saturday night because the prize giving on Sunday is quite a special event. So from a food accommodation point of view, it's pretty significant, as I say, covering the Naseby and the wider Renfrew area as well. This year we've seen the 12-hour Naseby cancelled due to not having a number of entries as against the running costs of it, and we're just really conscious that we don't want to see that happen to our Great Naseby Water Race. So we're sort of thinking if we can actually get a level of support that we can get there to help us with our operational costs, it gives us a little bit more certainty that we can keep maintaining this event going forward. And if we are, like you would have seen that, yes, we do make profit on it. The profit that comes into the area all goes back into the Naseby recreational area trails. So 100% profit goes into that. There's nothing that, other than obviously administrate the overheads for the race itself, go into that trail. So we've got a current project at the moment where we're updating all the signage in the recreational area for all the trails. So it's a pretty significant project, and we've done some of it over the last 6 months or so. We've got an awful lot more to go, and that's one of the things. The other one is reinstating trails. We're doing a lot of bigger work up in the One Tree Hill area in Naseby behind the town. So we're just continually pushing that back and to try and improve and get the level of the trails up for people, for the locals and people coming into the area, which is, I mean, the feedback we get is fantastic on what the trails are like in the recreational area, and that's something we want to continue and keep there. The other work that we do out there is spraying, clearing trails, drainage, just the general stuff that you look at. So, our funding is obviously just to help us with the operational costs for the race, so therefore that we end up with a little bit more that actually is able to go into the forest at the end of the day, into the recreational area. So, yeah, that's me. That's what our request is looking at.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, so the Nation Development Charitable Trust manages and maintains majority of the trails.
Absolutely, it's at 100%, all maintenance on the trails within the recreational areas with the contractors with the.
So I guess the question is, if you did a project like all the signage, why didn't the trust come to for the trust for the signage rather than running an event, I guess, because that sort of would fit into what we do. I mean, when I look at it, say food services, fuel, Portaloos, it's probably quite easier to come to us, say we want money for Portaloos to run the event, or if it's $3,000 for signage for the trail network, then it'd be hard, because that's just how I guess I see it. I mean, if it went to fuel, and I understand what you're trying to do, but sometimes it might be just easier to apply for us for trust for the signage.
Yeah, absolutely. I get what you're saying. I guess we're doing this under a sub-directory of the trust, and the fact that it's a Great Naseby Water Race as a specific entity on itself. As far as the trust and that goes, because we've been very lucky and have been able to put money from the profits from the race into the trust. The trust has been able to look at it and say, well, actually, we can, it's one of the things that we just will slowly work over the couple of years for the signage, and that absolutely could have. I think the trust has probably applied for some funding for other things over the last few years. So it's one of those things that's like you don't want to push it too hard.
How many signs have you got to go on the trails? Because there's
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds. Every intersection in both directions.
Yeah.
is
It's massive.
I was going to say, so
Yeah.
much.
We've done a lot of the Sanford area.
Mm.
And how many hundred signs have gone there as well?
That looks really good though.
Yeah,
That looks really professional.
They do look professional and they're quite natural looking. We have had a bit of fading going on, but with some, and not even sun fading. we think it's the background that they use. So we're doing a little bit of work. I mean, it's kind of like you put the first ones in, you wait for 7 to 9 months, and you see how it's going and improve it. So yeah, but no, they do look good. Yeah.
You look really good.
All good?
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Hazel Harrison and Lorraine Lord. Afternoon.
Yeah, no. Right, I'm Hazel.
And I'm Lorraine Lloyd.
Of the Naseby Information and Crime Centre, which has been operating since 1999. Way back then, the citizens of Naseby considered that they could do with an information centre. No one else could provide it, so they said, right, we'll do it ourselves. Which they set up. They looked around for somewhere to put it, and Doc had the old post office. They said, yahoo, let's see if we can get in there. And they said, you can have the lower floor, that's not a problem on that one. And then we said, well, how are we going to finance this? And then it came up with, there was definitely an outlet there for local crafts from that, which we sold on commission. We now also sell souvenirs which are appropriate to the area, which like soap, hair shampoo, magnets, that kind of thing. So that we buy those in and then we sell them out on profit on that one. And it went along quite nicely actually, for quite some time. It things changed a bit, but our visitors increased, our sales increased, and we've got funding with the office along the way, we fundraised. But on came COVID, and we have noticed a massive change. The visitors are still there. They're still coming through the doors. They're still increasing, but there's not the money out there. The people are not buying the crafts or the souvenirs so much. And we need that to keep operating. When Lorraine was on there about a couple of weeks ago, there were actually 15 people who came through, not one bought anything.
And we're after information. And that's where we could help them. And that, and I'm pretty sure that we satisfied their needs. And there are a lot of people who come in and ask for information about the town, because they come in, they think, oh, yes, we'll go and visit Naseby, but they don't know nothing about Naseby. So that's what we provide.
And they're always very pleased to have the personal contact, so that if they're wanting something in particular, I mean, we have produced a brochure of what the attractions are and that, but you'll sometimes look at it and think, oh, yep, St George Church along there, it's a nice wee place to visit, which is not listed anywhere else. Pop in and have a look at it. There's picnic tables open in the recreation area. Go and have a picnic there. So on that one. So yes, but so, yeah, things were going not too bad till about 6 or 7 months ago, and then things got interesting or challenging for the committee, to put it mildly. We had to upgrade our constitution to come in with the latest legislation. And in asking around, there was some pretty horrible stories out there as to what you had to do and what it was going to cost and all that. And we were running around in circles, and then someone said, huddle. Huddle. Get hold of her. So we got hold of Carol, and she talked us through it. We sent in the constitution that was changed, and it was accepted, and we were certified within 2 hours on that one. But Carol also said, what else is going on with the information? I said, we have struggled with finance. We're also struggling with volunteers. I said, it's the name of the game now on that. So she said, okay, we can discuss volunteers a wee bit later, but let's look at the finance. She said, there is a lotteries one there which has just started up. And she said it's for the small community organisations like you. And they fund for 3 years. And you can put in for an annual funding so that it rolls over for 3 years on that one. I said, well, sounds a bit like us. What do we do? He said, it closes in 3 days' time. And there's not another funding round for about 8 months. So compiled that and did apply. And 3 weeks ago, we were actually notified that we have got 5,000 per year for 3 years.
Where?
It's, yeah, so we're very pleased on that. It's eased things a little bit. At the beginning of December, we suddenly found out we had no phone or internet or anything like that. And Spark had considered that they were no longer doing the copper wire supplies. So we had to go around like stall cats, to put it mildly, to get the fibre connected and get suppliers and all that. So once again, that was a bit of a money drain, which we hadn't thought about. I hadn't even planned for. And now the dock concession is due for renewal.
It's all coming at you, isn't it?
Oh, tell me about it. I want to leave, but no one will replace me. And to apply for that, it costs at least about $1,000 to start the ball rolling. And in the meantime, looking at our finances, we've been going down by about 1,000K per year over the last 3 years. Hence the fact is why we're wanting more funds to operate with, please.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, the visitors are increasing. They're saying, look, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. We're enjoying your wee town. So the information there as an information centre is working, and it's the visitor numbers are increasing. So it's needed more and more on that. And we promote the culture of the town, the history of the town, what's there, stay for a night, that kind of thing.
Very good. Anyone got any questions?
No, I just got a statement, really, but I think you're as important to Naseby as the toy library is to the kids of Ranfield.
Yeah.
I think you do a magnificent job, and anyone you talk to, it's a part, it's a fabric of the street of Naseby, so I'll be supporting the recommendation.
Thanks.
But I've nearly got the most trouble I've ever been in was it fell into your hands. I haven't been told off by chief executive many times, but I did. I had printed a brochure that you brought to the table. I think we got the TV1 News.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
yes.
But no, definitely, well done. And to all the volunteers, because this community runs on a smell of Lord rag, and if it doesn't hit the volunteers, it wouldn't run, so.
I know. We've just got a new lady come on board, so that's brilliant.
So we're excited about
But
it.
it's a committee that we need people for as well.
Totally. Well done.
Any more questions? Well, thanks very much for that.
Thank you, kindly.
Back to you once we've had a discussion later on.
That'll be lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Oh,
We can just, people, you're welcome to stay, but also don't have to.
I hear from some there, but you know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you. Bye. Okay, condolences in the last month. Oh, I missed some.
Oh, sorry, I thought Dave was speaking at the item, or it doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Sorry. It's a beginning.
Oh, just carrying on, are we?
Yeah,
Good enough.
Dave will speak at the item.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah.
Righto. Condolences this month was Bruce Williams, Sid Broadley, and Mary Hocking. I'd ask everyone to stand for a minute. Thank you. Confirmation of the minutes, everyone's read them?
Yep.
Someone like to
Yeah, I'm
second it? Good, thank you. All in favour? Declarations of interest. I think you've all read them and you're happy with it, nothing to add. Community events and promotion grant applications, second round, Rebecca and Elsie.
Excuse me, would we be able to swap those agenda items?
Of course, yeah.
No worries, Tom.
We'll do this one.
Promotion events,
Dave can speak and then
grant
get away.
accountability and request for unspent grant, Elsie. And Dave, please. Sorry, guys, but we'll get there in the finish.
No, that's not going to go around.
No, you're all right.
Thank you, but I'll let Dave say a few words first. You've got before you the accountability report from the grant that the group received last year for the Dark Sky celebration event.
Last time we came, I spoke about the journey of getting Dark Sky accreditation in the 10 years that we took to get it. Since then, of course, we have received accreditation. We have had our celebration, which involved community viewing and other activities. Feedback from that event was fantastic. And today we're here to talk about the future and where we go with the promotion of the Dark Sky and ultimately our request, which is to retain the funds. It's probably worth noting that you may remember that when we requested the funds, we were pretty certain that we were about to get accredited. And then, of course, there was a whole string of events to try and achieve our celebration while we were still in the winter time zone, so that we had more night available for viewing and so forth. So we didn't spend all the money that we were allocated. We fully intended to do so. But we see there are some key projects that we didn't get achieved in that short space of time, particularly around signage and setting up the promotional activity to endure the dark sky benefits to the community and the wider region. So that's why we're here today. We didn't spend it all and we want to keep it to spend it on what we asked for originally.
And just further to that, normally for the amount grant that the group requested, you wouldn't necessarily have Dave here talking to you. However, rather than put them through the difficult process of refunding the money and then reapplying, this was a pragmatic approach to come to you and say, here's where they've got to. Do you have a will to support their wish to retain the grant and commit that towards the additional elements of getting the bedding in the dark sky community?
It's probably worth just noting that Naseby Vision is a charitable organisation and we hold the funds as TAG funds. So the funds are sitting there, they're unspent, and we're caretaking them pending this decision.
There's two things in this. Why isn't it an annual grant? Well, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is it happens annually and it's there all the time. So is there an appetite to have that grant or a fund from this grant on an annual basis? I mean, you always have in the weekends or things where it needs capital.
Not so much this particular, the majority of these funds will be spent on signage. So we have planned a large format sign inside the town, explaining what the dark sky is, what objects are available, where you get help, those types of things. Where you go and look for the sky. Also, there's a lot of road signage that we don't have. Those of you that have been to Queenstown in the last year or so, you will see that when you come around the Nevis Bluff, you enter the Gibbston dark sky area, and they have a nice big brown transit sign on the side of the road saying, welcome to the Powwow dark sky precinct or something or other. We need to have signage that people, when they come into the dark sky community area, they know that they're within it. We don't have that at the moment, so there is quite a considerable capital cost.
I guess what I'm getting at is,
you're quite right. There is a promotional aspect that we wish to spend some of this money on, and that is something that we should consider as how we're going to fund that.
well, I guess where I'm coming from, if you talk to Ian Griffin, astrotourism is one of the biggest tourism in the world.
Correct.
And to come this far with a small amount of money, there's been a lot of work done. And if there is an event where people go to and learn about astronomy as that, and I'm only probably leaning this way, is we need to have more grants or our grants policy for us to actually really get what our community was, because in 6 months we could be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to read into the future that if these are going to be enduring, the grants policy start now and then it just molts into whatever we end up being.
Yeah.
Because if you apply for trust or grant money in 3 years' time, you may be having to do it in Queenstown instead of in Renfrew.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is a lot of these are historical because there's been so much work setting these things up.
Mm.
I mean, I'll be first to move the recommendation to use unspent money. But what does it look like in a 10-year plan?
I think there's some things that we've done. You may not know, but was it 4 weekends ago, we held an astrotourism event in Naseby, which provided funding for the dark sky project. So a third party coming into Naseby to do that. And the event was so successful that they want to come back probably in a couple of years, I would say. So there are those things that we are building on, but we're still very much at the fundamental. How do we get this organisation up and running? how do we organise ourselves? How do we get the signage really around to draw people in? Once we've completed that, then we turn to the future, which is how do we fund this thing ongoing? Which
Because
is another problem.
I guess my dream is that we make sure these things happen, because ecotourism, whether it be running around a race or fools and horses and Wedderburn running around a race on a horse, adds value to a community like you don't understand, but it's everyone's putting their own risking their own appetite or money or things to do it. And the role of a promotions grant in the community is to take a little bit from everyone and make sure it promotes other regions and other things. And it's changed in the last 10 years. The stuff they're doing now at a weekend level is phenomenal. People entering this community like you wouldn't see. And whether it's just car rallies or bike rallies or motorbike rallies and stuff. So, I'm all for, and especially with the political situation we're going into, this grants pot could disappear. And we've got to make sure that these communities aren't left hanging, because we've just started building these things and all of a sudden the government's changed the rules on us and we're morphed into something else. So,
And I just, I'm sorry, I was going to be something up there, but I'm not. As well. Just I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying, but can I just make a comment that we had a dark sky community event last weekend actually, but viewing last weekend. We had about 5 people there. The grant is fantastic, an annual grant would be fantastic. I would actually really like to see from a dark sky perspective a relationship with the likes of the council or something like that that actually helped us promote some of this sort of stuff, so to get it out there.
right, ladies.
Oh yeah, I know. I think that would be fantastic. What we've done up to date in that, yeah, absolutely. But it would be like a real relationship, partnership would be, as maybe grant would be great, but some sort of relationship and partnership within the council would also be, I think, would be a huge benefit for something like this.
Then Rebecca?
That's me.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what, a lot of the groups, I'm probably speaking out of time, running out of time here, but a lot of the groups have done so much work till now. The worst thing is to run out of volunteer strength and run out of capital when it's actually time where you can move another part of the level. That's why.
One thing I would just highlight is that under the current terms of the grant policy, multi-year funding for promotions and events grants isn't an option.
Haven't we changed that?
No, we've made some changes for Alex there. We're treating lots of slightly differently.
Community, not
Community.
Community.
For events, council chose to keep them year.
Yeah. We've really had that discussion. That's what brought it up.
grants, yeah.
Really good.
A bit longer.
Right. So if Naseby had an events calendar and applied for a community grant for a Naseby community or mini town events calendar, it's going to be community.
I'd say no, it needs to go down in the top.
Well, just thinking positively.
But you could apply for grant for the same thing every year.
Yeah, every year. Then when it comes through to be. Right, good.
At this stage. in the
Yeah,
current
yeah.
policy stage.
Yeah.
Before we get any counts.
Any more questions?
Did you just overestimate how much it was gonna cost last year?
No, we just ran out of time.
Yeah,
So the event was held on,
it was Blossom Festival weekend, wasn't it?
it was,
Mm.
yes, and we got the accreditation about the end of July. So we only had 4 weeks to do that, so we didn't really have time to do the capital intensive stuff like signage. So we did promotions, we organised the events, and we did all that, but then once the event was passed, we considered that we could not carry on with that on the basis that we got the grant for us, which is why we've come back to you to say, right, we've still got this work to do and we're still holding the money. We want to carry on and we'd like to keep the money, but we read the terms of the grant that we should return it after the event.
It was for the event, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's why we're coming back and saying, right, we've got this money, now got ourselves a little bit more organised. We know what we need to do in the next sort of 9 to 12 months and what we can use this money for.
And it'd be used for the same thing it was applied for.
Essentially, yeah, except it's not tied to an event, it is tied to promotion.
Yeah, okay. Any more questions? Thanks very much for that.
Would be a resolution.
Um,
So we've got there's a resolution there where we approve that.
Oh, we're doing that now, are we?
See, the council said the report approved, but I'll move that.
Oh, second.
I'll put it up so I can read it.
Anything for it?
Done.
All done? All in favour?
All in favour?
Excuse me.
Oh, moved it, or second it.
Okay.
All in favour?
Right. Thank you very much.
Here you go, it's done and dusted. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
The events and promotion grant applications, that's not.
Thank you. I've got some.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is the second round of the Maniototo Community Board's funding round for the 25-26 financial year. For some of you, it's your second round. It's your first funding round, so you welcome.
Yep.
So annually, the MCB has $6,700 to distribute for its community grants and $5,000 for its promotions and events grants. Grants enable the board to support local community initiatives like all of those cool things you've heard this afternoon, and events, and often result in much greater benefit than the dollar value of the grant that you give. The board, for community grants, you've received 3 applications requesting a total of $8,431, which is just above that $6,700 figure we have. The Maniototo Community Board Grants Reserve has a balance of $6,364 in it. So there is a possibility that the board could recommend to council that you go slightly above my recommended figures, and approve what's been asked for, because you've got that reserve sitting there that I could write, a quick report to council. And it's easier to do it when you've got money in the report to do it with. The recommendations that I've made to you have been based to keep the budget remaining within that 6,700. I just want to note that the recommendations are just that, always are just my recommendations, and the board's completely able to either decline or change the figures. And I'll just speak to the 3 applications. For the first one, the Naseby Information and Craft Centre, they're a long-standing grant applicant. They've applied for $4,000 for both the 25-26 and then the 26-27 financial years. As they're a long-term grant recipient, I recommend that it's approved, so it saves them having to come back and ask for money again next year, that we can approve it for this financial year and next financial year. You can only apply, do that within an LVP cycle, so that's why it can't be longer than that, but you can do it for this year next. And I would note that particular application meets the criteria for both, and often, so it can either be a promotions grant or a community grant. There's very few that are like that. And we try and balance the books and figure out where it's come from. This way it's cemented in as a community grant, but we'll figure out that as we go. It was awesome that we received 2 new applications this round. You've heard from both the Toy Library and the Heritage Orchards folk. And it's exciting to see. Thanks, Rebecca, for promoting the grant. We've also got we'll have a grants clinic here in Ranfurly in September, so that's another opportunity to get. That's with the community trusts and the OCT and the fund. Aotearoa Gaming come to town and let people know what funding there is available. There has just been the Toy Library folk, because the Maniototo Community Trust is also open for applications, and so they've just had a bit of confusion. They've applied to both. They didn't mean to, they just meant to apply to one. And so I'm suggesting that we deal with it today, and then we'll adjust it when Dennis is back in town. We'll adjust it so that it comes off your community grant or whatever one of those it's sitting in. And so they're applying for toys and baby hire items, and then the Heritage Orchards is applying for rootstock, potting mix and planter bags. I've talked about my recommendations, and that's, I'll hand over to Ellie before answering any questions.
Right. Key things for the Great Naseby Water Races, that's for funding out of the next financial year, so 26-27. Your current financial year is fully allocated. So, and the event happens in the next financial year, so it's the right lineup for that. It's, as many events are struggling with the increase in costs, and I think, you know, it's to be expected that we may start to see some events that haven't been to boards before come to you looking for some support to keep those events running. They have requested $3,000. I've made a recommendation of approving at the level of $2,000, which would leave you $3,000 for future applications for 26-27. But as Rebecca said, your decision is can change those figures.
I just one last thing. I really loved hearing about Huddle from Hazel this afternoon, and CRDC was part of the. We still remain part of the group that set up Huddle. It's to help community organisations just get on and do the cool stuff they do and help them with the back office stuff. And so it was really, and CRDC funds Huddle for that purpose, and so it was really neat to hear a live example as you would, and especially out here in Maniototo. So yeah, happy to answer any questions about any of the applications. We've got a draft resolution that also includes, I think, Sarah, a potential recommendation to council if you wanted to increase those grant amounts.
Can you refresh my memory? Last year, what our promotion and events grants went to? Oh, what do we have application for?
That was for the Dark Sky.
That was the only one?
The only one.
So we've only got this one.
Mhm.
For the Naseby Water Race.
Yeah.
So you're wanting us to have money left over in
26-27. So the next funding round will close in July for decisions in September. So you would be able to accept another application to that grant to be funded within that financial year.
and there's 5,000 in there each financial year.
So next financial year, it's sitting at 5146, which is an inflation adjusted figure.
The past for 3.
Yep.
But your recommendation is to go for 2. Can I ask why you have put the recommendation lower when there's money sitting in there?
More just to leave that flexibility for any potential future applicants. I'm not aware of any, but if there was someone that came to me that said, hey, look, we want to, for instance, the Only Fools and Horses people, if they wanted to apply for funding for their event or something like that, that you would have something available.
How many do you get in each year? 200. 5 days, 4 days.
Yeah. And it's a great, like, honestly, the multi-day element of it is exceptional.
I'd be pushing for them to get the 3, to be fair. How much money are they?
That's your choice. I guess that's the only one that not rings bells to me, is like somewhere with those numbers over time, sometimes keeping some of that money back for yourself. And that's a lot of the best part of some of these funding, is that actually starts people up to keep it in. But then it's a promotional grant. So it's for promoting the purpose of the event. But, you guys do the cycling and understand where it goes to, so also than I do.
It's 4 or 5 days of, like, say, businesses and accommodation and money coming into the area, because it might be 200 athletes, but they've all got like team support and people supporting them, and there's like food caravans and yeah.
So if the moment we move all the recommendations that you've both made, maybe not, well, at least one.
You'll see up there that B, I've said notes that due to the high demand of grants, that the board recommend to council to draw on the Maniototo Community Board Reserves Grants Fund to the sum of $2,539 to make up the shortfall. So you need to decide if you wanna increase those grants, the community grants. So I've recommended 1,350 for the heritage orchard. They've applied for 2,430. If you want to go 2,430, then we need to do that first. Does that make sense?
Right.
And same with the Naseby, I've said 4,000. I haven't adjusted that figure because we that's the fund that we normally fund it at. They've already funded it. And then the toy library, I've said either 1,350 or 2,000, which is what they've requested. And if we do those two things, then we need to do the first, the proposed B. We didn't show you that. It's, this is.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'll say is I want toy library at $2,000.
Yeah.
I think it's vital what they do. If they've got money in their budget to overspend, I'm in the mood to overspend it. I think Heritage Orchard sits pretty well. I think it's a cool thing. And I'm going to leave the water race. I think I'll be fine with $3,000 to the young ones who actually have more understanding of it than I do.
So does that make sense? Is the general?
Yeah, I've got no issue at all, because I just like to see the heritage go for with it too, to be fair. If you're going to draw on that 2,539, might as well use it.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, if you've got a vote to actually use it, so might as
Well, if that's the
well
case,
use it.
move overspend and they'll come back
Well,
to
the
council.
toy library largely to me is that we won't see them again potentially for 1 or 2 years, 3 years. So it's not a, it's a what?
So, no, but not a once over, but it's like,
No,
they
but
can sit pretty for a wee while buying
Yeah.
all those toys.
Yeah.
So
So
they
that
don't
may
get
be,
anything for them.
yeah. I think the water race is great.
So what is that? We've got surplus and we have overspend, we can spend.
Gonna have
Yes.
to go.
There's about six and a half in the reserve. So
Okay,
you can do, you're only asking for 2,500
extra.
extra
Yeah.
by doing those figures.
Well. Well, how do we move this discussion? We move the,
So.
in that case of what they want.
Sarah, have you understood that? So the
Yeah.
C is
No.
the second figure.
Have we got every consensus on that?
Yeah.
Everyone happy with that?
Go through them one at a time. Heritage Orchards get their total requirement or not? Or 2,000, what do you have then?
At 2,430,
2,430, Naseby gets 4,000, Toy Library gets 2,000,
and you're suggesting 3 for
and
the,
Naseby Valley Trust get 3,000. Yep. I'll move the recommendation.
Seem to update that. B.
B, no, we don't.
Back now.
B's fine.
B's free.
B's correct with the extra.
Yeah. We don't need to change that for that.
What to say next council meeting?
I've got to write up. I was copy and pasting.
All agreed on that?
Yeah.
Stu recommended it. Becky seconded it.
Sounds good.
All in favour?
Guys. And thanks to everyone who applied. So good.
Thank you.
Well, the positive thing on that, we're getting new applicants wanting to apply to our grants and promotional budget, so when we go through our long-term plan, we can just come up. We can set it up.
So you have to,
It's really, that's the key thing, if you have seen an increase in demand, there's much more of a justification for this board to say, we need 5,000 at the moment. You know,
Want to do your report first?
yeah. We need to increase it by 2,450 because of the announcing.
is there a percentage of a rate take? Is it the flat figure of a rate take?
It's what this board decides, so this is one thing that still the community board gets to decide on the level of grant funding, which it goes to council, but I've never seen council not approve what the community board said. That the guidance is that we shouldn't be taking money from our ratepayers' accounts if we don't think we will spend it. So that's why we sort of base it on previous expenditure. But if you're seeing increasing demand, that could be a good justification for this.
That's where I get in trouble, because actually we haven't had enough grants of diversity or not diversity, of a broader community to actually trigger that switch. So to have more there, it's like, well, actually, we need more, because we have the one-offs like the hospitals and we have the one-offs like the curling rinks, which we can't because we've got a $5,000 grant. But if we had a $25,000 grant, we could give more to, and then it just comes out of our rate take. So when we set our rates again, the grants policy is plus 0.1% of our rates, and we'll set that.
Yeah, so there's no additional times, it's still a local rate take. It makes this.
The local,
Yeah.
grants are still covered by local
Like,
rate.
not,
So when we go to council ones, there's nothing stopping the hospital board for a management fee of running the hospital here through a grants policy at council.
yeah.
Because the Vincent Hospital, Cromwell Clyde Hospital gets a management fee of running theirs. So we can also, some of the big events can apply to council for the grants and promotion budget, like Blossom Festival. So if there is an article or something happens and we've done that maybe with the cavalcade where we look at doing systems, different systems of funding startup or businesses that contribute to the community. Yeah, it's a big bit of work that's been going on.
So as part of the RFP process, we will have a conversation with the board around what we'd like to want your grants promotion in the community.
Yeah.
Very good. Right, long-term plan people aren't here, so it's all.
No, not quite online, she's just joining.
Oh,
But you might have talked long enough so we can get that off.
you all right?
What?
Maybe you have to see if there's a board.
Just keeping me, texting me, so it's going a bit more than work today.
Righto, I'll give the chair's report. There's a letter here that drafted concerns about pedestrian safety and bits and pieces would have been Gateway, scenic tour routes, you've read it. So that'll get sent away. All need to sign that. I see there's a bit of action around those cars. Is that fence going to be built? See, fencing contractor, they're looking at it yesterday.
Already said the timber's been dropped off and
Oh, yeah.
it's going to be.
Going to be underway.
Started, the contractors must be going to be soon.
I didn't realise the access was in past the heaters building there.
Yeah, it was a section, didn't
Yeah, yeah. Apart from that, not a lot happening. Went to the Anzac parades. We put a wreath there in part of the community bush. Scott Lane's bridge is now down. That's been mentioned. We're sort of flat out in the middle of our crop competition, which is we've had good sponsorship from everyone on the outside the area, so it's been really good. And most of that money will be spent on health initiatives. Both government outfits seem to drop the ball on every time. We've got our doctors leaving at the end of the month. Just wondered if we should send a letter or something.
Can we have
appreciating the?
Can we have an afternoon tea?
Yeah, we'll have an afternoon tea, or we can do something.
Members of the board, the trust, and the board members.
Well, there is a farewell for it at the end of the month for civitation only. You got one?
I've got one from November.
Yeah, no. So I can speak at that if everyone's happy with that, but if you still want to do something in here, we can perhaps jack up something.
It's a pretty integral part of the community.
Well, he's been here for a long time. He's
Kept me on a rugby field for about 10 years longer than I should have been, isn't it? That was a good thing.
didn't get me off soon enough. Never mind. Okay, we'll talk about it. And that's about me, really. I'll recommend that report be received.
I'll do that. I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favour? Right.
And Biddy is online now.
So move on to long-term plan updates. Ready to go for your life.
Thanks very much. And thanks for inviting me to give you a little bit of an update on the long-term plan. For those of you that haven't met me, my name is Biddy Charland and I'm the strategic and corporate planner. My main focus of work at the moment is this long-term plan, which I'm pleased to say is progressing according to schedule. And as you'll probably know already from other briefs that the Risk and Audit Committee has oversight of it. We are well into I'll start again. We have numerous internal working groups who are doing their bit to bring this all together. And the budget's opened in mid-April and will close mid-June. The current focus is on delivering the activity plans and the budgets by the activity owners and the budget holders, and they're going to present to the council workshop in this coming week over 2 days. And then after that, from that, we'll be looking to take a paper for direction from council to them towards the end of June. Now we are keeping up with our progress, as you can see from our little diagram that we affectionately call the bird. And since you are the last community board I've updated on this one, about to move the bird along tomorrow. But yeah, that's it. It's just a very quick update on where we're at with the long-term plan, and I'll be continuing to update you over the next, I suppose, 12 months.
Thank you for that. Any questions?
I just get a bit lost on long-term plans, so.
Yeah, it might not be too long, Tim, by the way things are going.
Yeah.
But, thank for that anyway.
Can I ask you a quick, so when you want to see projects looking towards the future for the area,
10 years from now.
yeah, so we sit in a room and discuss those projects, or is this so it starts here and then it's taken on by council?
Yep.
Is that what happens?
So you'll formulate a long-term plan discussion about things that might be a curling rink, it might be a community hub, it could be new bridges or whatever. Formulate that discussion here, the staff will bring all the information relevant to what we're doing, whether it be just grants, budgets, and anything will come through their budget lines.
Yeah.
You'll sign off on a long-term plan, will come to council, we'll sit there going, no, we want those rules out, we want this, we want that.
Yeah.
We want to look at the running costs and offset it against budgets, and then we set our rates on the projected where it all goes.
Yeah, right.
So we've been forced to think about a 30-year plan, the long-term plan gives us 10 years, and then you get an annual plan where that makes sure that workload gets done. So there's things that the community are talking about and scratching around now like a hen.
So how do you get from the long-term plan to the annual plan?
There's another way, isn't it?
Yeah, so you do the 10-year long-term plan.
Yeah.
And the first 3 years are probably done in detail, and then the 4 to 7, 7 to 10 are slightly more outlined.
Yeah.
But the first 3 years then constitute the main piece around the annual plan.
Okay.
But the first year of the LTP is the first annual plan, so you don't have to write an annual plan.
Yeah.
But the second year and third year, you have to produce an annual plan, which pretty much just draws off the long-term plan with a few updates.
So you change in community board, you could pull things in your long-term plan, you can actually pull them forward into an annual plan earlier if your community board.
It's risky if you pull things too far forward because you're normally allocating funding when you're
Yeah.
So if you pull something forward, it would have to be that you're probably looking to stop something to fund.
Yeah, I see, mate. Yeah.
The real risk is you may not have had work finished and it rolls over and you've got a budget overspend, you've got to do something more in those 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's just pretty much a running budget that in that term, you see whether you've met your budget or you can still spend more and you might have.
Yeah, I suppose in our 10-year plan, we might prioritise these 20 things. We all get that's at the next election and the next community board might actually prioritise. There's a ability to prioritise other things.
But if it's, it might be that extending the cemetery or building a new part of the park or rec.
Yeah.
As a 30-year plan, the next board might come along and go, that was our long-term plan, let's follow that, but we'll tweak it a wee bit.
Yeah.
And the polls are classic, and I think, Alex would talk to this, but identifying that this poll's old and it's perhaps come to the end of its life of time. In this next 10 years, you might identify, actually, we probably need to be replacing the poll.
Yeah.
And then you sort of tag it to a particular year.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Sorry, and just to add to that, I guess if there is community sentiment, community projects and different things like that, like right now in terms of the confirming the board feedback on long-term priorities in the workshop later days, that point to rating those. So we're in the process of prepping our budgets and everything like that for first cut of long-term plan. So there needs to be things feeding into that as well and key projects and priorities.
Yeah.
That's now is the time for those.
Nothing's off the table.
Yes, then we need to have a workshop sooner.
Yeah, you need to be, and that's your role in the community is to go, they go, well, why have we got this, why have we got that? And you go.
No, it's more a timing I'm asking.
Might have been away, Logan, perhaps, when there have been discussions with this board already around priorities for the LTP. And Alex is going to lead a workshop after the formal part of the meeting, bringing back those ideas and where they're at. Yeah.
You're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it just gets so confusing.
doesn't get any better.
Can't think of tomorrow, there's us meeting.
Righto, people back to that. Any more questions? Thanks very much for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you later. Yeah.
Thank you.
Members report. We'll see. Kick off on that one. Okay, ladies first. There you go. What's for you? No, listen.
Okay.
Ladies.
That is, yeah, that is, isn't it, you? I don't have too much, yeah, obviously Vern and I retiring out of the medical centre, so, that's gonna be a big shift for our area, and, as a hat of wearing ambulance, there's obviously a lot of questions and a lot of, information that hasn't been talked about yet, and a few concerns, especially out in the community, of how it's gonna move ahead and what it's gonna look like, because Vern has done an amazing job above and beyond, and we've obviously know that we've got Adele coming on in a capacity that we're not sure of, but it won't be what Vern did. So in regards to that too, with the ambulance, they're looking at changing our area. So at the moment we're with North Otago, and our manager, she does Coorau, Oamaru, Palmerston and us. So they're looking at realigning us into Central Otago as well. So quite timely with the talking about hopefully money coming in for Dunstan like hospital and stuff, because it is a really tricky one for us, even looking towards Dunstan, and it's not done often taking people that way. We're definitely more Dunedin way. So, you know, with the ever growing population and whatnot, it's just a discussion to have, I think, and I think it'd be quite good to maybe get some people from the hospital board in here to have a chat with us about it. Because, you know, it's not very clear cut at the moment how it's gonna move ahead with
The next couple,
services.
probably.
Yeah, right.
They're moving in that direction, but it's
Mm.
just, yeah.
Waiting for him. Cool. People are just, yeah. And with that too, we've also got Glenys Crouchley, who's done 38 years of ambulance volunteer work. She's finished with the ambulance as well, so she's having a couple of farewells this month as well. But she'll be sorely missed for running the crew in the station here in Rainford for so long. So some pretty important people that are leaving some pretty important roles in the area. As far as the lights down the main street, can you just tell me how far through we are with that at all? Because
It's NZTA lights,
it is.
sitting with NZTA. Yeah, we've had conversations with NZTA around supporting the funding of that through the outreach, but it is a NZTA project.
Right. Because I think we've got about 3 lights down the main street that actually go now.
We've been repairing them as they've failed, but there is no more parts for those style of lights anymore. So now that that's not an option, we're working with NZTA around the replacement.
Yeah. Just, yeah, being a business owner down there finishing late at night, it is actually getting a bit, it was just dark. So it was just a personal question. But apart from that, it is just me for this month.
Thanks, Stephen. Right.
Yeah, to mention Vern and Di and Glenys as well. Gee, I didn't actually realise they were finishing, but they've been great, great for the area, great servants. But so I'm going to hold it on. Duncan and I had a meeting with Gordon down at the rugby fields, cricket fields. Hope to get a plan in place, sort of get a clear line in the sand of what's getting done and timing around applications of food and irrigation and things like that. So bit of progress there has been. It's been a bit of a niggle over the years, so we could get that underway. Meeting with search and rescue with the fire brigade. We're meeting there a couple of weeks ago, I suppose, we're not. And fire brigade and police looking at potentially setting up a search and rescue type group out of the local volunteers, just due to isolation. And it's sort of brings it back even to today's grant applications. How many people do so many different jobs in the communities? It is pretty amazing. I think we had probably 30 on at that meeting, and then when you see these groups today, and the Naseby Vision and the water race, it reminds you how key community engagement is, isn't it? Keeping these wee communities going. a lot of great work gets done. Anzac Day dawn service was good. Carrying on through, the Maggots lost to Cromwell, which was wholly disappointing. You'll see a lot of cars going through the Otter Valley and through Bex, kids sport, pretty much every day of the week now, so everyone's just got their heads down. A lot of cars going on vehicles. Followed with interest the last few days the Cromwell all naming. I won't go into detail, but I found the process quite interesting. And then I just want to touch on probably what's happened in the last few days around the news around local governments and the changes 90 days to figure out how to run local community councils or unitary authorities, and it's going to be clear there's changes coming, but I just hope when you're a small rural community, you don't get lost in all the noise. That's all. It's going to be, amalgamations are hard on small communities, as we saw when we merged with CODC all those years ago. But it's just harder to be heard, I suppose. So it'll be interesting. What's coming up? And that's me.
Right, you've been quite busy actually. Go back to the start of the Anzac Day, because it's great to see the turnout, and Harry and I, it was fantastic to go to Turihu and Broad Parade here. It was great. Workshop, we've got a pretty serious workshop on rates. Now I think we've got to get this right. And we'll have another workshop next Wednesday to finalise it, and just see if we've got an equitable fair way of sharing the pie of rates. I think there's a wee bit of work to do between where we are and where we're going to end up, maybe. And just so people understand it. We've got enormous growth coming down our line, and our rates are going to be set reasonably well. It's not going to be an out of the gate rate year, but we've got a lot of growth. We've got to try to build a rating system, and we've got large scale developments, whether it be solar farms, whether it be gold mines, whether it be housing developments, or whether it be Onslow. So there's a lot of stuff coming at us. So it's been a really busy time at council. But I think one of the important things of leaving legacy of the future is just check we've got the rating system right. I'm not sure we have. So that's a bit of work, and I quite like the idea of that. But there's a lot of information that comes out, but we've got to settle somewhere soon on where that looks like. Name of the hall, that was an interesting conversation. It was great. It's a fantastic facility, and I can understand all sides. I was on the side of the Memorial Hall because we've submitted on, but it has morphed into a fantastic facility, and I think hopefully it'll be widely used, and it's going to be a leading mark of Central Otago in the future. So that was really cool, and the Te Reo name is actually really cool, and actually quite understanding Araha, as I've known her since she's probably about 15 years old. So it was cool to have a bit of local knowledge and input and people, involved with that. So the government regulations coming down the line, and I've been, I guess, on the backbone of my mind and all those discussions about regional deals and chat with DIA, is that this, and I went to the rural and provincial with Tamer and Peter. This is something the government's been working on for a while. And I think this is a defining part of our next 40 years with rural communities. And I'm not going to be sitting back and being quiet on how I think it should go on behalf of Central Otago. And I firmly believe we've got an opportunity now to have a rural unitary authority to the point we take into the Mackenzie, maybe the Waimate, maybe Waitaki, Wanaka, and maybe Clutha. We've done a lot of work on the water regulatory role, where councils have proven they can get on and look for the benefit of their ratepayers. And I just think now with the way that the demographics of the people, we don't want to be controlled out of Dunedin the way it is at the moment, or Queenstown. And I think that they are their own entities and they will do a great job of themselves. But there's now a chance for rural New Zealand as the leading light. Every reporter, every economist, every person that says this is a rural-led economy. And we've seen probably in ECAN, we've probably seen smidges of it with the ORC, which are not going to be here, where the rural New Zealand was getting regulated out of a market that was going to save its economy. And we've even seen the downturn in global markets when the world changes. It's still the rural that are exporting as long as we can get it on ships. So I'm going to be seriously vocal and in a way that makes sure we have those discussions to bring out what people are thinking in our community. And it started, and I'm gonna big ups to Tamer. She's front foot in a pretty big piece of work that's pretty tough, because when she goes home at night, there's a lot of people having a go. But I think probably when you look around to rural New Zealand, a unitary authority of a couple of regions would be something most rurally based economies. And I'm saying like Oamaru's a rural service centre. They're not just wee towns of us. So that's going to be, in a lot of ways, a chance for us to reset the rules, and how we do that. It'd be a lot of work, and there's a lot of intelligent people who get in there. But I do think it needs to be led by elected members first. And then out of that, there will be the governance part, and the understanding it will come in as a mob. If we don't start doing that, the government made it quite clear that they'll do it for us. And at the moment, their appetite for some of these ideas are they're pretty keen to push them through. So that'll be a lot of work going forward, and I hope that it'll be a bit of push and shove, but I think we've come to we can only try this for the next 40 years for our grandchildren and get it right, as other generations done from sitting in this room to Maniototo County Council, CODC, and to everything else. And that's just about it. On a happier note, the tourism and the rail trail, it's been one of the second busiest years on the rail trail. The tourism numbers are bouncing back. Other people, Hazel said, the people aren't out there spending, but they are out there moving around. And, we're seeing a lot of events, and they talk about that with the water race. We've seen it with the Falls on Horses and other events that are happening. And it was also great to see a fantastic car rally for supporting a person with cancer. And there was 400 or 500 people cruising around the Ida Valley and vintage cars worth lots and lots of money. So people get behind. We're very lucky with the community support we have around here. I too was at the Fire Brigade meeting, talking with police. I'm not sure that the police and land and search and rescue are as their appetite to be involved with FENS or an outside source to do their thing is probably what we have Fire Brigade. But when you look at the capability of the 53 royal members and staff we have here, and people with knowledge and depth knowledge of our community, and are trained to, as well as we can be trained, and we've got AMBO people in there as well. If there was an incident, I'm pretty sure the police and land and search, Landsar would be wanting to talk to the people there. So I know Willie's done a lot of work on this, and just to make the police and Landsar available, make it known that we're available to help if required. So that's a memorandum of understanding, but it's once again pretty makes you pretty proud to be involved in the community in a group where they're always trying to get better and better and look after the people. But no, it's going to be it's going to be a good thing. We're very lucky, like I say, we've acknowledged Vern and Di and Glennis and even Dunk. The hours that some of our volunteers do is phenomenal. This community wouldn't be what it is without the board of trustees and the sports coaches and everything like that. And hopefully, if this other regulatory change happens, we don't lose our way, and we lose some of that. So that's pretty much me. But it's going to be an interesting couple of months, and I think we're very fortunate with the council we've got. We've got a few new ones that haven't been poisoned by the brush of local government New Zealand yet, and are expressing themselves pretty well. And we're very lucky to be led from an exceptionally good senior management staff. And it's going to be tough on staffers too, because ultimately there will be change. And if you go to work one day and you're not sure whether you've got a job, and I know as elected members we won't have a job, and that's the art of how do we formulate an elected group that can go forward in the future. Like I say, I would rather be a part of that team making that decision than someone else making on behalf of us. So hopefully we navigate some choppy waters and come up with some really good solutions for our wee communities, because if we're attached to the bigger people, we will lose our identities of how we are, and it would be a shame to think we go backwards as a community. I know the people won't be, but politically, we might not have a say. And that's my report.
Thanks, Jim. Very good. I want to recommend those reports be received. Second.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. All in favour? Governance reports.
One.
It's the one. Oh, Colby.
Yeah.
Session.
Yeah, there is some work happening, but nothing further to report.
Yeah, I think still waiting to hear back from Amy on the Kyburn Hall one. That's about that, really. You have to get hold of her when you want her, but she's pretty quick to come when she wants to. Never mind, I'll leave that one in it. So the next meeting is the 18th of June. And public workshops, or do we close the meeting?
Yeah, just close the meeting.
Thanks, everyone. I'll declare the meeting closed. Thanks for all your help, and now we'll go on to long-term plan priority.